Hi, Zizaran here with another Path of Exile University, and now we are going to be covering fast cash and early riches. So this episode is going to be a little bit about tips and tricks for making money, when to use Chaos Recipe, when not to use it, um, and stuff like that. So that is what we're going to be covering today. So a long time ago, I made a video called the efficiency video. I think that was in 2015 or 2016. And the video was talking a lot about how Path of Exile is basically just like layers and layers of RNG, right? And it's kind of like a giant slot machine. Now, back then, the meta was very different. People would pick up a lot more stuff. People would be constantly doing Chaos Recipe and pretty much picking up everything. And something I started with fairly early on was skipping the majority of the loot, because those things aren't necessarily worth something, and the Chaos Recipe I found wasn't really making me a lot of money. So just being really efficient, and just, instead of like picking up everything, clearing and killing more faster and more gooder, to just get those big drops, right? Like Chevron's Wrappings, Comb's Heart, and you actually end up making more money this way. In a lot of scenarios anyway. So part of the lesson there, it's important to have a fairly strict filter. So obviously the best thing would be to customize your own, right? Then you know exactly what's on it, but that's hard when you're a new player. You're not exactly sure what to like filter out and when to change filters. So how does this work when you're a new player? Well, Neversink does have a pretty good filter, and there are several others as well. I use Neversinks and then customize it myself using Filterblade. Filterblade is like, if I can bring it up here. Filterblade is just a website that it like, instead of just having it in text-based form, which is, I will usually edit it mid-league in just text-based, but you can like very quickly go here and then, well, first of all, there's loads of like normal ones. The way I normally do it at league start, from an experience point of view, is I would start on regular, and then I will make my own semi-strict, strict, very strict. And I'll also like customize and edit them a little bit middling, but it's pretty straightforward. He's made a really good interface for it, so that you don't have to like play around with the text-based. The main thing I do is change sounds, and a little bit, and something I generally do, I never hide divination cards, especially in Trade League. There are some of the ones here that would be in tier 5 cards, actually, especially in SSF and Trade League, but there are some here that could be like useful for some builds in Trade League. So just at least div cards, I never hide pretty much any. Obviously there are some exceptions, like actually even Destined to Crumble has its uses. The life armor one, Seraphim is it called? Either way, that doesn't really matter. But a lot of those can be useful in leagues, even though they might be at the bottom. It's hard to like keep up for like someone like Neversink on like an economy part, and make sure that everything is super accurate. Even if they are in like tier 6 and tier 5, they might actually be useful for builds and stuff and something you need. But yeah, so having a filter that's very strict, let's just open up a map here to like show the difference for those people that just haven't been like doing filters at all or like playing around with it. Sweet, Beyond map, even better. But there's a very, very big difference, and I think I find that even myself, I will pick up more on more than I should on a bad filter. Like no matter what I do. Let's see. I should have put Sextants on so there would be more stuff, but you'll see like now I think now I'm on the early filter, and you'll just see like loot pretty much everywhere, right? You're not picking most of this up. And then for example, a strict filter, I mean, it's literally like not showing anything. And then you do get a like completely different pace of the game, just because everything you see, you're picking up, and then you never have to like stand still and go, am I picking this up? And then, for example, a big problem, especially now that alterations are so expensive, is going to be running out of alterations. And you might find that with a strict filter, you're not picking up enough. Generally, what I do when I am on a strict filter is once I get to the boss, first of all, I would pick up like everything like rings, belts, amulets. But then at the boss, I'll hold down Alt and just pick up a few randoms and fill up my inventory while I am trying to get alterations. And for those of you curious about what this build is, it's a Power Siphon build with in-stacking. But yeah, so all those is obviously things I'm just going to vendor for alterations, because they are a pain to get, especially in SSF. And they're expensive in Trade League too. You skip 50% of the map? I know. It's just a quick demonstration. But yeah, so just for like making currency alone, having a strict filter is pretty important. How do you know when to change between them, especially for like making money? Normally, I would have like whatever would be considered never sync regular until I hit maps, maybe until like tier 2 maps. And you'll very quickly notice that it feels very bloated. That there's so many rare items that you aren't picking up. It's a little harder if you're running SSF and you're transmuting your maps, then you might not be finding that many rares. But especially if you're in Trade League and you're alching your maps, very, very early, you'll feel like there's like a horde of rare items that you're just not picking up. So I would switch to like medium strictness once you're a little bit past tier 3s, and then move to like an actual strict filter for tier 8 to 10s and up. Like obviously, like sometimes you might want to go back to an early filter just because you might not have potions or something. So because of that, I usually try to pick up a lot of flasks early on. Obviously, this is mostly a SSF issue and not a Trade League issue. But running out of simple things like granites, jades, basalts can be really pain in SSF. But yeah, so filters are very important. And then I want to talk a little bit more about efficiency and stuff. So there are players right now that are using multiple portals to go back in and pick up loot and pick up rare items and things like that. The thing is, with the way Path of Exile is, you're very unlikely to find and identify a really good rare item. Most of the time, you're only going to get some like early game gear. I think I can basically remember how many like proper end game items I've identified. Like super good ones. And I think I've only identified one close to perfect item out of all the ones I've ever identified. So yeah, so one of the main things, like you're mostly going to like craft the really good gear, which is why I'm trying to put out many like crafting episodes, because, well, especially now that crafting is back to just being gambling in Path of Exile, a lot of people aren't 100% sure how to like maximize their chances on how to get gooder items. That's my new favorite word. That isn't a word. But yeah. So that is fairly important. And then let's talk a little bit more about how this is like different from Trade League to SSF. So obviously SSF, there is not, you can't like sell a Combs Heart or a Chevron's Wrapping if you find it, right? So it's especially for Trade League that this is like even more important to go fast. A wise man called Havoc616 once said, "Don't complain about being poor if you're spending more than 20 seconds in your hideout between maps." So you will see a lot of like players that are really like, you know, really sweaty, really try hard. They'll be, let's just grab some maps so we have like a visual example. But you know, you'll have people go in the map and on that screen, while waiting for these portals to come back up, they'll be vendoring their inventory or using dump tabs. And then they'll like clear the map, go back out, instantly put a new map back in, and then while this is loading, click, 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 back in, right? And you'll be amazed. Like, it's not for everybody. It's not an enjoyable playstyle for everybody. Like, for example, my good friend Bertini quite likes taking like 5 to 20 minutes per map, and then 5 to 20 minutes in hideout. I hope you're here, Bertini. In hideout between maps, and that's completely acceptable. I just want to try to explain like different playstyles and how they can be like really, really good for both currency and XP, because you'll see that your experience per hour will go up, your currency gain will go up, and pretty much everything. And that brings me over to a nice segue to another thing that's actually worth a lot, and that is gems. So do remember that in your offhand, you can level sets of gems, and they will be getting experience as well. This is like very, very easily neglected on new players. But if you see here, like in the weapon swap, I have these two offhands. We'll talk about the right one in a second, but so in the left one here, I was just leveling Spectre Gems to try to get those to level 21. I don't have like a lot of all orbs, but a lot of gems get a very big benefit by being level 21. And you can see that they will sell for quite a lot. Like, especially gems that you have to double corrupt is actually a really, really good way to make currency sometimes. To double corrupt, you need to get the Department of Thaumaturgy in the Temple of Atsuodal. And I think the most expensive gem that I've ever seen was 21 Valark. And that was in Delirium, where people were playing with the Herald Stacker. And I think Valark was going for like 10 to 20x at 21 Valark. It was like outrageous. It was like crazy, like expensive. 8x? Well, it depends if you're hardcore or softcore. But it was like stupidly expensive at some points. Don't you mean 23? No, you cannot get a 23 gem. You can get a 21 gem. But you can't corrupt. You can't... But you can't support advanced skill gems, can you? Yes, you can support advanced skill gems. Anyway, so the way you get a level 21 is by leveling something to 20 and then corrupting it. No, I'm not talking about level 21, 23. I'm talking about a Val level 21. Like 21, 23 Val skill is only from chests. You can't... The temple doesn't triple corrupt. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So it is important to start leveling gems fairly early. Normally what I will do is around Blood Aqueduct or a little earlier, I will buy a full set, so 6 gems of the one I'm using. So for example, if I'm using like Frostbolt or Discharging Lance, whatever that thing, Crackling Lance, you know, some spell like that, then I'll be buying 6 of that and leveling that in the offhand around Blood Aqueduct. Now, as a just like curious addendum, there is I don't know if you want to call it a bug, but there is a weird anomaly right now with gems. Because obviously you'll notice that you can buy leveled gems from like the Act 1 to 10, or actually Act 1 to 4 vendors. Whereas if you buy them from, you know, library and stuff like that, they will be level 1. However, they go up here to level 15. I haven't scienced this, but at some point, the vendor will sell a higher level gem than you possibly could have leveled it to at that point yourself, which I think is really interesting. And it's actually pretty significant. So much so that the gems that you buy at peak vendor level will actually be, I think it's like 20 million XP ahead or something at endgame. Like it's a surprising amount, because I've noticed that one time my main gem was 20% behind the ones in my offhand. So that was like a very, very curious observation. I was surprised that it was that large amount. But yeah. And then let's talk a little bit about things like this as well. So here I have an Empower, I have an Enlighten, and I have an Enhance. And these gems are different than the other ones because they gain more experience when they have quality on them. So you can see here that it says on the gem, this gem gains 100% increased experience, and that is all quality does on these items. But then you can also get this quality off-socketed support gems, and when I put in the enhanced here, you'll see that it now gains 130% experience. So, you know, these take a long while to level compared to the other gems. Normally, you'll like level 90 or 93 or something. That your first gems will hit level 20, but then yeah, these will be like way later. Another thing to help level these gems is that if you, while using Betrayal, put Torah on Research anywhere here, but you know, as leader you get the reward twice. Torah on Research will give a large experience boost. I think it's 200 or 220 million at level 3. And that is doubled on things like this. Now, they did put, I think they're called lapidary lenses, or whatever the experience ones are called. Is it? I think I have one to show. Yeah, so they did put these in the game in Harvest. I don't know if Heist is going to have anything similar, but these are not doubled. It's only the Betrayal one. I wish I had a Valorb so we could see if it's actually going to hit. But, I mean, we could show the Valorb recipe real quick. 1, 2, 3, Oh no. We're actually out of vials. That's sad, so I can't do the Valor recipe. But it's 7 Val gems and 1 sack fragments. Those are going away. Oh, well, I wasn't aware that you had inside knowledge on Heist League when you're the win of the horse. So if you played Heist League and you know that there isn't anything like that in the next league, that's excellent. But I actually haven't played Heist League, so I don't personally know that for a fact myself. So that's why I said, in case the Heist has one, which we don't know what is in that league. Anyway, so these are worth a lot. We can bring up. See, let's bring up PoE Ninja because that is actually pretty useful for a lot of things here. So we can check their level. Wait, can you actually not search for level 4 in power here? Oh, there. Oh, there's just none for sale on Harvest Hardcore. Of course there isn't. But you can see the there's the stats. You can see that they peaked at 1,200 chaos for an Empower level 4. So the only way to get an Empower level 4 is to level 1 to level 3 and then vol it. But yeah, they are worth quite a lot. And you can see a big difference here with Enhance probably not being worth that much. Enhance peaking at a little over 200. And Enlighten. So this is a great way to make money. A lot of people will. You can use like Dialis Malefaction or whatever it's called as well. A lot of people do have specialized characters just to level a bunch of these. This one. But you know, most people are just going to be leveling some in their offhand, and some leagues, even like at base level 1, can be like 20 to 50 chaos. Are there cards for level 4? I think there's a card for an Empower level 4. Yes, the Dragon's Heart. It's very, very rare. It's not something you're likely going to be able to farm. You could buy it in Trade League, but yeah, it's very, very rare. I think this is probably the only card I've found. I can't remember. Maybe it drops in Caldera? Enlightened as well. I think the Enlightened is level 3, right? Yeah, the Enlightened is level 3 uncorrupted. And I think there might be one for Enhance. But these are a lot of money and a great way to make money early on. Obviously, the game is going to reward people that play a large amount. But if you are able to level up gems to level 21 on day on day 1 and 2, people aren't really able to buy them, right? Because people don't have like 100 to 300 chaos to drop on gems. But day 3 to 6, there's a huge market. And even in the first 2 weeks, there's a huge market for level 20 and level 21 gems. And level 4 is called Wealth and Power. Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. But yeah, huge market for these. And then I would say that this is something you have to explore yourself, but just like browsing a little bit, like say a week and a half into the league and looking at level 20 gems, sometimes there'll be a huge demand for, you know, sometimes blood magics, sometimes auras. Like sometimes just people won't be leveling them a lot to sell them. And like at some points, level 20 gems will be worth even 20 to 50 chaos per, and they don't take that long to level. So, and there are quite a lot of people that don't want to take the gamble. A lot of people want to just sell them uncorrupted and get a lot more per gem, but maybe miss out on like 30-50% compared to hitting 1 or 2 for level 21. I personally, I always gamble. Part of that is honestly also being a streamer. Even if something isn't completely worth it, I would rather take a risk and gamble and fail. But on the off chance that it does hit, then I have like a clip circulating and people are like, wow, that's so lucky, dude. So I'll always take bad gambles as a streamer. That doesn't mean you should necessarily do that yourself. But it's also like something I would do quite a lot just for like entertainment and fun, right? Let's see. And for those of you who are still watching on Twitch, I'm interacting a little bit less with Twitch chat right now, but so we're trying to make it very enjoyable for people on YouTube, and I hope everyone is enjoying it. But yeah, so that's a little bit about like the gem stuff there. And before we end on the gems, I would say it's not super worth corrupting like a regular gem like What's something I don't care about the quality, or I don't care, like it doesn't have a vol orb? Oh, Volatile Dead isn't a good example. I would never double corrupt a Volatile Dead. Um, because it doesn't really, I can't remember someone's worth like the actual stats, but obviously when you're double corrupting, it has a chance to go +1 and -1, so it doesn't really give you a bigger chance for hitting 21. So I normally only do this when I either for some reason want 21 and 23 quality, which I can't think of a case where I really care about that. Like 3% quality is never going to make me like ultra pog. Whereas something like Arc, where I don't care about the quality, but I do care about getting a 21 and a Vol Gem, that's when I would normally be doing that. Crafting Awakening Gems worth it? I probably wouldn't. Mostly I use that when it's the Vol version that I care about. Now, and this is going to be, I mean, most of this episode is going to be focused on Trade League, but the last time that I played Trade League at League Start, which I think was 9 months ago, I would normally now play SSF for the racing part and then move over to SSF, or sorry, over to Trade League a few weeks in. But the last time I played Trade League, there is one thing that is like insanely good. And this isn't really about playing a shit ton on the launch day. It's more about being very fast as a player, which obviously this isn't applicable to everybody. But if you are able to be fairly quick into maps, even just like slightly ahead of the curve. So if you can like practice and get like 6 hours to maps or 8 hours to maps, you're actually like you're doing pretty decent there. You can sell so many maps. Like the amount of maps that you can sell early on is staggering. I normally try to undercut other people as well, just to like sell so many, because this is a temporary market. You're not going to be like getting the same price like 4 weeks into the league that you're getting the first week. And yeah, very early on, like yellow and red maps can sell for like 3 to 10 chaos per. So it's an insane cash cow early on, because the people that are slightly behind the curve or maybe not able to play will be buying maps. And obviously it starts on a weekend, so you know, if you're working on the weekend, you're kind of screwed. But if you're not, that is a big advantage for you. Corner region tier 3 maps are 5C each. Yeah, so maps honestly super worth. And you'll find a lot of people, something that's really nice as well, like you'll find a lot of people that are playing, for example, Essence Drain, will be able to like just snag up and buy loads of corrupted maps that other people can't run. Or like Chaos Spellslingers who can literally run everything, including no region, right? Did you see 6 days to maps or 6 hours? 6 hours. Like you'll have like the fastest people will be doing 3 to 5 hours to maps. And then, you know, anything under 10 hours is great. Really good to maps. But that is like very, very profitable. Now, another good way to make a lot of currency is knowing what currency to use on your maps and when and why. So Sextants, for example, these are never worth selling. There's probably a lot of players watching right now that are like, because they don't care about Sextants, right? They don't fully understand why it's going to give you a return. Same with like, you know, chisels, Sextants and Scarabs, right? They're not really, they see like, I don't know how much Sextants and stuff sell for right now, but a lot of people just want to sell them. But they're all like multiplicative with themselves. They all sort of is it called compound? I'm not sure what the right word to use is with it, but yeah, like when you're putting everything together, like first with just putting sextants on your map, right? And I'll do a quick like TLDR of what to look for. So for example, we have 4 sextants here. Your mysterious barrels converted when killed. So this is 6 additional packs of monsters. This one, there are uses for this, but a lot of the time I do roll over it. Here we have 6 additional physical monsters. This is also the worst additional pack size one. If you're playing Essence Drain, it's fine, but it gives the proximity shields that a lot of people hate. So a lot of the time I roll over that. And so now I have the fire monsters, the converted monsters. I have barrels. On softcore, I'd probably always keep this, but on hardcore, some of the barrels can be very... there's 2 barrels, the red exploding ones and the brown exploding ones. The brown are like the bearers, like the storm bearers, stuff like that. They can do a lot of damage, and the exploding ones can also one-shot you sometimes when shield charging into them. Let's say that I roll over that just for safety. And then here I have areas contain Nico. Now, if you just want to juice the map, you could roll over that. But do remember that you can just move this out and the Sextant stays with it, right? A lot of people are very, very easy to forget. There. So now I have 4 with additional monsters. And let's just do... let's do a quick difference check here. We're just going to run 2 white maps. We're just going to do like a quick check here to like... Because I know a lot of people are ignoring Sextants. And I want to tell you why you're wrong, kind of. Let's... This should be better. Oh, no. We don't need energy shield. There, that's fine. Okay, let's put on a rampage belt. And so this is like 0 pack size, no nothing. And this is just a map. Nothing special. So the Biscos belt that I just put on is going to give us a rampage counter, so we can get like a quick idea on how many monsters are in the map now. And obviously this is going to vary with league mechanics as well. Harvest doesn't, you know, add something to every map, but like sometimes you can open it. There, so it's around 400, it's 464 monsters in the map, right? And there's going to be a slight variance there, and then you're also going to be rolling it. Now, I'm not going to bother rolling the second map here, because that would be a little bit unfair. But obviously, like the pack size affects the Sextants as well. So it would be an even larger effect, but it would be a little bit too big. So now let's put on, we'll do one with just these. This is just with Sextants. Because this is like, this makes so many people rich every league. Let's say with just Sextants, and again, this is obviously without the pack size, which does affect it quite a lot. We're going to ignore the breach, because that would be slightly unfair. And there is a slight variance, probably of like 50. We didn't open a strong box on the first one, I think, so we're going to leave those. But now you can see that there's nearly 800 monsters in this one, right? And that was just from those 4 medium Sextants. That wasn't even the expensive Sextants. So I'm going to show an even third test here, just to like really, really drive home the point. So this one we are going to roll, and we're going to put like everything on it. And I'm going to show the power, because a lot of players, something a lot of people aren't 100% sure about, is why do we do Beyond? And Beyond is sort of, this is dangerous, right? So if you're in hardcore, a lot of characters might not be able to handle this, but for softcore players, this can be a good way to make money. No, we're not going to do Delirium Density. We don't need to do that. I'm just like, did you pay off the Sextants or just wasted like 6 to 8 C? Generally, Sextants will always be paying themselves back, because on top of like the increased loot, and obviously you do have to like do the investment, you can't just run them white. But when the map is alked and stuff, yeah, 90% of the time they always pay themselves back. Maybe not on a Sextant by Sextant basis, but you have such an increased chance to get like actually good loot. Like the increased chance for like shavs, like it is always a profit in the long run. It's just maybe in like 3 maps or in 6 maps you'll be going bankrupt. But let's put in we'll put in breaches, we'll put in harbingers. Normally you would want to combine this with a shaper or elder as well for influence bases, but you'll see a lot of people that do get quite rich. They're not running there, they're not alking and running, right? They're chiseling, they're alking. I mean, sometimes people will take it up like a crazy notch, but I'm more talking about like something that is like doable. I'm not talking about the way Empyrean runs their maps in a 6-man group where they're investing like 10x into one map, right? That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about something that's completely doable for you as a player. Can you remove it again if you don't want the Sextant no more? Yeah, you can move them around. But yeah, so what else am I going to put on? We'll put on Elder because they add a lot of monsters too. And then Harbinger. And the reason that my map device looks different than yours is that I've done a 4-way Legion encounter, and that upgrades your map device to 5. But let's see. So this is a good example of like really juicing the map here. So we're still using those same Sextants. There was like 800. You have 2 Harbinger, don't you? Oh yeah, whoops. Anything else I can throw on? I mean, I can throw on Ambush. I'm not going to throw on Legion for this. Could do, though. Now, and I talked about this yesterday and why League mechanics are good, but now Incursion becomes really good just because of the sheer amount of density and beyond. And then you could also take on, like, Infused Harbinger or something like that. Let's do... Actually... Nemesis as well, then you have a chance to drop Headhunter. I normally wait with using Sextants on SSF until like tier 13s. In Trade League, normally in tier 10s or 11s. Using them early on can make a lot of money. Infused map mods is a thing from Harvest, so we're not going to use this for this example. We'll just throw on a Breach. So now this map is going to have 4 breaches. It's going to have Beyond. And the main showcase here is I want to show why Beyond is actually a good mod. And more importantly, everything can drop Elder items. Now... there is one more thing that I want to show. Where is that? Maybe I should... I do have 2 more uses. Okay, let me show one more important thing here. Let me show one more important thing. Let me we'll save this for the next one. Because I know this is gonna blow some people's minds. One more beach. Let me just like run one beach quickly. Yeah, a lot of people buy Scarabs while also like spam running Betrayal. Let me just go kill the boss so that it ticks over. And what I want to show, a lot of people struggle with influence spaces and stuff like that. There, excellent. Alright, so... like, we have a lot more... Not anatomy. Autonomy? Is that the word? Like... anyway, we have a lot more control over what we can do and how we can play in Path of Exile now. So now on the next map in this region, I know that Hunter is going to spawn, right? And there are several Hunter items that are worth quite a lot, especially early on. So now, when I'm juicing up this, and I'm putting on, like, Breach, doing double Beyond as well is insane. Oh, sorry, yeah, Agency. Agency is the word I was looking for. So now this is an example of a super juiced map. We are going to get 30 monsters of Hunter. We are going to get, sorry, that's 30 additional packs. 30 additional Hunter packs. 6 additional packs. 6 additional packs. 6 and 4. And then we do have that, these give 8. So 4, 6, and 8 additional packs. On top of that, we get 3 additional incursions. We get strongboxes, breaches, harbingers. Well, I'll let the map speak for itself. But when you're doing it like this, now we're getting a huge increase in the amount of bases. All of that is getting affected by the pack size of the map. And Beyond is the one that really does like the exponential increase in amount of monsters here. You're going to see that there's Delirium as well. We are actually going to skip Delirium because that's like... that would be like very insane. But you'll see that we'll be able to hit... there'll probably now be like 3,000 or 4,000 monsters in this map. At least 2,000. Very easily 2,000. No, we'll skip that. Although actually you do have a lot larger chance for Delirium to spawn when you are investing like this. And then you'll notice like even with a fairly strict filter, you'll be getting like a lot more returns. So you see that it very quickly at the start of the map goes up to 1,000, and you'll notice like The way Beyond works and what it does is that every now and again when you kill monsters, they're going to drop red orbs. When enough red orbs spawn close to each other, they are going to spawn a Beyond pack, which will be 1 rare and 3 blues. And then when you get enough, they're going to spawn a unique Beyond boss. Now, obviously, unique monsters in Path of Exile has like a higher drop rate. Like they just have like a high rarity and quantity bonus. We'll see we hit 1,000 very, very early in the map, right? I mean, we could like let it expire here, I guess. It would probably like 1,200. Could let it expire. And we haven't even done incursion yet. And yeah, you'll really notice that the amount of bases you drop, this can be like very, very worth on Trade League, because something like, you know, Shaper Valregalia, Elder Valregalia, Crusader Explodey Test, like these things can be worth a very, very large amount. A very large amount. So that is kind of like a TLDR of how people are actually making back this huge investment. Because I think that's something that can be very confusing as a new player. They'll see, you know, like veteran players in putting in like not an X per map usually, like for like casual like play solo, but you know, like easily like 20 to 80 chaos in one map. And then you do have like some niche cases, like people running in 6-man groups. Then it's even more worth. Right now, I'm just talking for solo play, but doing this in a group is like even more worth it. Is even more crazy. And great advice from Baylor Mage: never roll your maps like you're poor. Yeah, honestly, like to a lot of extent, that is fairly true. Like investing in your maps is generally gonna like pay itself back. Again, like when you are playing SSF, this isn't really an option. Right now, I'm mostly talking about Trade League. And now we're gonna start doing the incursions. So Beyond is obviously so good. Like the reason I wanted to talk about it is I saw so many people be like, Beyond is a shit mechanic. I hate Beyond on my maps. Obviously, Beyond is one of the things that gets you so many like base types and can like really, really help make you rich in this game. Like it is actually a very, very good mechanic. So now, even though we like overwrote quite a lot on the first one, we're almost at 3,000 mobs already. It's a Power Siphon Instacker. Oh, we can actually, yeah. Don't actually need to keep wearing this belt. You only need to have it on for when it goes on. Buy 5 friends? No, like this is doable solo. I'm sure there's quite a lot of people, like veteran players in chat watching that, there we go. Yeah, so a little bit over 3,000 monsters was in this map. So that's a very, very big difference. But yeah, there's a lot of players that are watching that do this solo already and make a lot of money. So when we did the White Beach, that was what? Was it 414 monsters? So yeah, it was around 460 monsters on a White Beach. Nearly 800 with just 4 prime sextants, and then with like really investing with like the whole shebang, not even the whole shebang, but you know, a fairly decent investment into a map, then it was 3,000 monsters, right? 3,000 monsters. And then you can get base types. It'll be raining currency, and hold on, let me see if I can find it. It's in the last, I think it's in the How to Progress Your Atlas video. Yeah. So this is in a 1-hour mapping video I have. But this is like peak investment. So this is using something called Nemesis currency sections, and I do talk about it and explain it at the end of this video. I'm not going to explain it again now. I'll just tell you to go here. But it's only Awakening level 8. This is Awakening level 3, actually. I misspoke. But here you can see even more investment. This is getting lucky with the Awakened Sextants. And now I think a lot of new players are going to be like, wow, I'm starting to see how people are making their currency back from investing hard into their maps. right? Like this is one of the biggest return on investments. Yeah, I'll link this in chat. And then, yeah, I don't know if we can link it on YouTube, but yeah, here you can see, like, I'm not looting everything, but here you can start seeing, like, some of the return on investment, and why you maybe should consider not selling your sextants and scarabs and stuff like that. Isn't it better using delirium orbs? Yeah, but delirium orbs, I would sometimes put one on, but it's very, very dangerous and hardcore. Oh, the thumbnail for the link. It doesn't work this league. This does work this league. The main thing you need for that is the Nemesis monsters drop currency. I don't know if I have one. I know I did have one, but I might have rolled over it. See if I can show it. This one's decent with spamming Harbinger. Yeah, I think I accidentally like wasted it, but I was gonna like show it at the end of the league too. But yeah, Nemesis monsters drop 3 additional currency items. It's very rare. I get it normally like 10 times the league, and just as like a actually, this is a good money making tip too. You'll see that here that I have a tab called Nemesis Beyond. And ignore the implicit there, but I save every map I ever roll, regardless of tier, that have the mod Nemesis mod and Beyond on the same map. Some points during leagues, these maps can sell for like 30 to 200 chaos. So yeah, because people make a stupid amount of currency, especially in 6-man parties. So once you ever find Nemesis and Beyond on the same one, absolute fortune. Definitely keep those maps. Don't run them casually. Even if you don't want to run them yourself, at least put them up for sale. What are the 2 rules to keep an eye out for? You want Nemesis and Beyond on the same map. The reason for that is that, especially in leagues where we have Beyond on the map device, you don't want to waste the map device one with Nemesis. Yeah, each have a Nemesis mod and attract monsters from Beyond. That's what you want. So that's why I have a separate tab just for this. And I did like run quite a few. I think I get like 20 to 30 like that. 20 to 30 like that on average per league. And why do you save them? To run them with a big investment? Yeah, that's what we were just showing. With the currency raining and the Nemesis monsters drop additional currency items. So that's a little bit about like maps and making currency. Another good way for like map related currency is especially once you start getting, well, first of all your red Zana dailies, I use them on at least tier 15 or tier 16 maps. That's when you can actually get like, you know, Cortex and things like that for them. Which is obviously like Cortex, like Bottled Faith is very, very expensive. We can look on PoE Ninja. Let's see. We can search for Bottled Faith, just as a quick example of why Cortex can be worth running. 850 chaos, with it peaking at 2,100 chaos. So yeah, it's worth quite a lot. And Cortex is something you can find like 5-6 times the league just by running. Like obviously here I could probably find like 10 in 107. But yeah, it's by running on tier 50 maps your red Zana daily. And here you can get like Elder maps, Shaper maps. Obviously they're worth running as well for currency. Boss killing is, especially on hardcore, and for those of you playing on hardcore trade league, an insane amount of currency. I have several friends that make like 3,000-4,000 exalts every league just by doing boss killing and boss killing services. They're not even streamers, they just have like a reputation for doing it. And yeah, you can make like a stupid amount of currency on hardcore with that. That it's not something I can really speak to about softcore. I'm not sure how valuable softcore boss killing is, but I'm guessing early on it's still very much the same, where it's like very, very valuable. Zana charges you 25C for an Elder or Shaper map, //. So that's only if you're buying them here. What I was talking about now was, you know, in the map itself. Do I have like a decent layout map? Here, that'll do. So when I'm running like this, sure, she can sell these special maps. She can sell Cortex, etc. challenge boss farming kills is good on softcore. Oh yeah, nice. Like when you're interacting with her here, it can give you like cortex and all those things here. Yes, I'll be talking about lab farming. But yeah, so that's a good way to get currency there. And somebody did like ask about lab farming. Lab farming can be an insane amount of currency. We do have sorry. We do have 3 different Uber labs right now, which are probably not going core. I don't know. Actually, I could see Heist dropping them. I could see Heist dropping them somewhere, to be honest, as a special reward. But either way, the only one really worth running here is Gift to the Goddess, which gives you 6 additional enchants. But just running a lab with twice enchanted and enchanting helmets, it's very, very lucrative. Most leagues, the helmets I would enchant would just be plain Hubris circlets, item level 85. 86 is okay, but the only mod at 86 is +3 minions, which normally isn't used on Hubris circlets. That would be more on Elder helmets. And then there is a market for enchanting unique helmets as well. So some unique helmets that have been good in the past to enchant would be the Awakener helmet. What's it called again? I should have a few. Oh, it's in my unique tab. I have loads of it. I just don't remember what it's called. Yeah, Crown of the Inward Eye. This is probably one of the best unique items to throw helmet enchants on. The Uber Zeri helmet has been very popular in the past, but I don't think that's super expensive with enchants right now. On softcore, I think also Abysses and Zirconias, but I would never do those on hardcore. Crown of the Inward Eye, I would say, is the... Oh, Alpha's Hell and Devotus Devotion are also good options for unique helmets. I don't think anything beats Crown of the Inward Eye for return on investment. I don't think anything beats it for what's most likely to sell with the most amount of enchants. But Elder helmets as well. Item level 86 Elder helmets. Whether it's armor or especially if you can get a Hubris. But they're like huge chance for like jackpots. Like there's a few enchants depending on league, like some summoner enchants, like Herald of Agony. Yeah, Elder bone helmets as well. But I'd say the most likely return on investment, and you can still get like large amounts, is just high level Hubris circlets. Oh, yawning so much. I've never been a big fan of enchanting armor helmets because I feel like even on Marauders and stuff, if I really need to for an enchant, I can get 150 int to throw in Hubris circlets. But if you get a really, really good enchant for an energy shield build, then you're never going to use a Royal Birkenay, right? You're never going to sacrifice the 300 ES of a Hubris circlet. So Hubris circlets are generally like the biggest return on investment there. Yeah, boot enchants too are not a bad way of making like... That's more like quick cash. You don't have like a huge chance of like massive jackpots. But I'd say like helmets is like... I generally prefer helmets. There's a lot. Yeah, Syntrix nice. And a few others. Thank you, IDD. Good to see you. But yeah, enchants are very worth running. Now, again, not 100% sure how worth this is in softcore, but I know in hardcore, people pay very fast for lab runs, and you can very easily fill up a group of 6 people. This is something I see a lot of non-streamers doing as well, like Inward Eye and stuff like that. Or sorry, Inward Heal. He will do like a lot of lab runs, and a lot of other people do as well. And they'll be filling up groups and running with at least 3 or 4 people, and people will pay 5C most days, plus a fragment. But if it's on a really bad day where people like hate running lab, like it's like a gold door, really bad layout, sometimes people will pay 10 to 20C for an Uber lab run. They're like, dude, please, nobody's running lab. I'll do anything. So yeah, running lab for other people and boosting is a lot of money too. Now, I just want to like bring it up. It's not super relevant, but let's see. Actually, I have one I can show here. There, Emperor's Mastery. All labs have a daily ladder, but what a lot of players don't know, and this is like a hidden way to make money. I think it's like nearly impossible in softcore, but I want to bring it up anyway. But on the pathofexile.com website, there is a ladder showing, you know, normal, cruel, eternal. So like right now, for example, for Hardcore Harvest, the fastest person doing Urbalab did 10 minutes. So if you can do 9 minutes or whatever, or 10 minutes and 29 seconds, at the end of the day at 1 a.m., if you're the fastest, you get an Emperor's Mastery. So normally this is very, very competitive, right? You'll have an insane amount of people trying to do this. The reason I bring it up is because it can be such an insane currency. And I know that on both hardcore and hardcore SSF, it's still like you can learn to do this and start doing it and make money because it's competitive. On softcore, there's one guy nobody can beat, basically. But there have been leagues. So obviously there's only one of this per day, but there are leagues. Yeah, so they're like, they're anywhere from like 16 to 40 exalts per Emperor's Mastery, and there's only one per day. So a lot of people think he's cheating. I personally don't think he is, because I've like sometimes gotten close on hardcore. But I don't think I could ever beat him. Whatever he wants to charge, yeah. But I've won like 6 or 7 of these on SSF, and that's without speed builds. So sometimes you can win these. It's worth paying attention to, just because the insane amount. Again, on Software Trade League, you're probably fucked. But on like either of the SSF leagues or on Hardcore Trade League, you do have a chance to win this. And they're worth a lot. They're used, if you're wondering what they're used for, they are used for builds like the one I'm playing right now. So I have 2 of them right now on SSF, and I didn't have a crazy 700% movement speed character. I just did it on this character. And I did like a 3-minute Urbalab. It was like 3 minutes 15 seconds or something when I won it. Is there a way to check the speedrun ladder for lab? Yeah, pathofexile.com. What's the softcore trade guys time? I like 2 or 3 minutes sometimes. But yeah, so I just wanted to sling that in there. I think it's a cool thing that's in Path of Exile that like isn't known about. And there is one for each lab, right? So you have the normal, cruel, or actually, is it normal, cruel, merciless, Uber? I think strength is the merciless one. So this is all in SSF. So how does it work in SSF? It's just a separate ladder. There's 4 ladders. There's one for SSF, one for SSF Hardcore, one for Hardcore Trade League, and one for Softcore Trade League. Now, there used to be that you could make a private league and you would have a separate ladder all to yourself. So some smart people just made private leagues, leveled up characters on those private leagues, and then migrated those to Trade League. That no longer works. But some people probably made like a couple of 1000x doing that. That no longer works. They have a shared ladder now. So if you have a private league on Hardcore SSF, then yeah. But yeah, it's a stupid amount of money. But it's a cool thing that not everybody knows exists. I know it's not super relevant, but I think it's cool. That's why I bring it up. So that's worth a lot of money. So speaking of speedrunning, and I did talk a little bit about this yesterday, Delve can be a really large amount of currency. This is especially good for SSF. Just destroying the walls, and I have a couple of videos talking about how to find the walls and how to find like the hidden areas like this. Like for example, this is going to be one of the hidden areas. The reason we can say that for sure is because there are nearly no 2-ways in Delve. I'll show you real quick. So if you see here, it has an exit there, it has an exit there. That means that an exit has to be like, actually it might have to be here. No, this one's there. Does this see 2-way? It's actually a 3-way. There are some like actual 2-ways in Delve, but there are very few. So we're just gonna run through here now. And walls, I'll like point that out on the map when I see one. They're always in like very similar places. I don't actually know what it looks like in the Delve city. I didn't find one here anyway. But let's see. We're gonna ignore the city itself and just go find the wall here. There. You can see the wall on the map here. It's like a blue triangled hand. I don't know. But then you just throw a dynamite on that, and then you'll see that this is gonna open up. Um, and yeah, behind the walls that are like on the path, they can drop a lot of currency. And then you have like obviously the node that we're going to now can have a lot of currency. This is particularly good in SSF because a lot of the things that drop like can be annoying to get, like a large amount of Alice scale stuff like that. But there are several things about Delve that can be good for Trade League as well, so I figured I'd cover that. This is another one thing that is a bit of a weird way to play the game as well that we're about to show. And that'll be on a different character. So here, oh no, there's not a wall there. Weird. Oh, it's up there. I'm bad. But yeah, here, so here we have like 3 abandoned riches. One cartographer. That's gonna drop like map stuff. Is it worth doing all the sideways in Delve or just the walls? I normally just do the walls. I don't do like that one. I would normally like dip into side area and look like, is there a wall here? No, then I'll dip out. If there's a wall, I'll destroy it, throw a flare down and loot everything. They're very, very, a lot of currency. Even good in Trade League, especially early on. Like, okay amount of currency here. Obviously this isn't an insane amount, but it's like on a different character. There's one thing, this that I'm about to show you is the single most boring way to make currency in the entire game. There is nothing more boring than this. Even flipping items is more interesting. But depending on prices and how many other people are doing it, you can make, I think the first few days where people first started doing it, it was a little bit over 1,000 chaos per hour. And then obviously that balances out itself with more people are doing it, right? And then it becomes worth less. But I think it's worth at a minimum like 200 chaos an hour. And you know, if prices on fossils are high, you can be up to like 600-700 chaos still. Not a lot of people enjoy doing this. So first you have to find a really long, juicy, and nice delve. That can be hard because sometimes you'll just randomly meet an end. So for example, this is a nice and long one. So is this. This one cuts off here, right? So this one's unusable because you have to be able to run the whole distance. This one goes all the way here. And what I have here is a character with, I think this only has like 400 or 500 movement speed. Can't remember exactly, but I'll show you now. And you can do even faster. People do even faster than what I'm doing here. But what people do then is they will run in to the side areas and you'll get, well, you'll get some like currency ones. And then you'll also get like fossils. And, oops. And it's very important for this to not destroy walls. Well, why is that important? If you destroy a wall, then you will have nothing respawn in the area. Now, normally you have to, this has been nerfed since I did it. I did it only at this low depth. Now you have to do it around depth 200, I think. So you probably want to level up and get like at least another 1k life. But running like this, you can get up to like 5 to 8 fossils per run. Sometimes you'll get unlucky and do a few runs without fossils and without like chaos or currency. But in just raw chaos, you can get a decent amount per hour. I think I normally got like 70 to 100 in currency per hour. And then the main money that you get from this is from chaos. And then with your fast up and your momentum, you're barely getting hit as well. And then you would just run through this and reset at the end. This isn't like an optimal area either. But I just want to like go over this quickly so people have an idea. But yeah, so like just running like this over and over again can be very profitable. And then you're getting like anywhere from like 20 to a couple of hundred fossils per hour. What is the speed? The actual speed is just 392. And you can get upwards of 600 to 700. And you use the chalice and a pathfinder so that you're getting fast charges back without killing. I actually find delve speedrunning very relaxing. Yeah, I mean, some people like doing it while watching movies and stuff or watching streams. But you do have to like pay attention while doing it. So it's hard to like multitask a lot with it. But yeah, it's definitely like very, very interesting and it's cool that you can do it. This has been nerfed several times. How do you get the stuff without looting it? Didn't see you click a single item. I'm very fast, but I did click it. And I didn't loot the Chaos Orb. I think I only looted the Enchanted Fossil. But yeah, so obviously that's decent. And then bosses in Delve can be worth quite a lot as well. I don't think I have any bosses here that I can show, but they generally spawn. They spawn in cities. Sometimes they're on like a city on their own. I think that was a lich. I'm not sure. Don't think I have any. But the stuff they drop, especially Owl, can be worth a lot. 3,000? No, I don't think anyone's done 3,000 on hardcore. What is the current record for deep delving on hardcore trade league? Just delve difficulty plateau deep down? No, it just gets harder and harder. Best fossil area to focus on? That depends a little bit per league. Generally, dense fossils are like very recurringly the most expensive. So petrified, like the purple and the gray one, both of those are worth quite a lot. Dan hit 1,300. Say they should sell fossils in bulk. Yeah, if you can sell somebody like 20, 30, 40 fossils, sometimes they'll even pay more. Obviously, a lot of the time you're like, oh, I'm buying bulk. Can I get a discount? It's like, no, you're buying bulk on Path of Exile. You pay more. And people will. People will pay more because of bulk. Because they'd rather pay like 1 chaos more per instead of having to message. Because if they can buy 30 from you, if they had to buy 30 one at a time, they have to message. Well, we'll do some quick head maths. How many people on average would you have to message to do 30 trades? Probably 715. So you'd have to either buy 30 from you or message 715 people. I think that's an exact science. So that's why people will pay more for bulk, even though that's maybe like counterintuitive to, you know, bulk discount is like quite common in the real world. Say tipping for a good service? Yeah. So that is like a way there. We'll talk a little bit about the chaos recipe as well. When to do it, when not to do it. And it matters a little bit if you're trade league, if you're hardcore trade league, or solo self fund. When do I do the chaos recipe? The answer is never. Sometimes I have to do it because of this shitty thing that they keep putting in. Where is it? Sometimes they put this shitty thing in, and I have no other way to do it. Honestly, I very, very rarely do the chaos recipe. I mostly do it for the challenge. That being said, it is worth doing, especially when you're a new player on Trade League and you aren't sure what your items are worth. Items in Path of Exile can be notoriously hard to price. And as a player, you might have no idea if something's worth a lot. Whereas at least you're getting a very, very steady income with Chaos Recipe. You're never going to be one of the richest players doing this. Like, you're very rarely going to have somebody that has like 500x, 2000x, 5000x be like, how'd you make that currency? Chaos Recipe, dude. Every day, 16 hours per day. Chaos Recipe. I'm insane. Right? Now, that being said, Chaos Recipe is used by a lot of good players, even early in a league, just to get like a quick 30 to 40 chaos early on. You'll see that generally these players do it like very efficiently. Gucci Prada's had a like clip or a video at some point where he had like the perfect way to do chaos recipe, and he was doing like 4 chaos recipes or 8 chaos recipes per minute or something. It was like insanely fast. I think the main reason for me personally why I don't do chaos recipe is I can feel my very soul and will to live draining out of me every time I'm doing inventory Tetris. You're also wasting a lot more time than you think, just by like having the tabs. Like, you know, whether you're doing it through quad tabs or whatever system you do it through, picking up those items and organizing them to make it easier to sell faster later, does use quite a lot of time. So I'm not a massive fan of that. And generally, I just want to make sure that people know that you don't have to do the chaos recipe to make money. There's so many leagues where I've had like 5,000 chaos, 5,000 exalts. No, wait, I only had 1,000 exalts. Anyway, stupid amount of currency. And I didn't do chaos recipe once, right? I don't even do it early in the league. And you can definitely be fairly efficient with it by even like picking up items and sorting through tabs. It'll add like another 10 to 30 seconds into your cycle. Exalt recipe isn't that bad. I actually don't have any information about the Exalt recipe. I can't really talk about it. For those of you who don't know what the Exalt recipe is, it's if you sell a... Does it work on the, like, Hunter and Crusader and stuff like that? Does it work on the Conquerors? Or is it only on Shaper and Elder? Yep. Okay, so if you sell, like... and you can mix, right? You can mix like some Shaper, some Conqueror. But anyway, if you sell like the same as Chaos recipe, so like one gear set, and it has to be the same, that's terrible. That's even less efficient. Okay, so if you sell like a full set of Shaper influence, you get 2 Exalted shards. I would only ever see that being worth it in Trade League, when especially when Exalts are like 170 or 200 Chaos. 4? Yeah, 2 for Identified, 4 for an ID. But it's horrible. It's horrible. I would never do it in Trade League hardcore because the Exalts just aren't worth enough. Exalts are only worth like anywhere from 30 to 70 chaos on hardcore Trade League. And I would obviously never do it in SSF because it just rains Exalts, right? When you're playing very efficiently and very fast, you're plugging in Sextants and Scarabs. Like, I think this league, I must have dropped over 60 Exalts in hardcore SSF this league. Obviously, I play very fast and efficiently. But in softcore trade league, I could see it being worth it. If you hate yourself enough, you can buy influence spaces for less than the 4 Exalt charge and vendor sets. Oof. How many hours? I think I played around... I haven't actually looked. Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200. 1,000 was when I stopped looking. How many hours I streamed this league. But I play off stream too. I did actually play quite a lot off stream in Harvest. You dropped 60 raw exalts, over 60 raw exalts. I had simultaneously over 38 at one point in my orb tab here. Yeah, sure. That's somebody asked if I'd talked about tabs to sell items in. So what about selling items? So normally the way I will do it, and you can use like normal tabs or quad tabs, doesn't matter. But I will do it like this. I'll have sale tabs like this. Sometimes I will have tabs that are like everything in this tab is 5C, and I'll be like, yeah, this will sell for 5C and put that in there. Most of the time I will have like individual sales tabs, and I'll be pricing like, this is worth 1,337 chaos. Now, the best habit you could get into is revisiting your tabs once per day. Revisiting your tabs once per day and lowering the price. Lowering the price every day until it sells. Sometimes you might get like spammed for an item. Most of the time that means that you've underpriced it. So do be careful with that. But also, while it does suck to sell an item and you're like, wow, dude, I got 3 exalts. And you get your friend be like, yeah, that was worth like 30, dude. You got scammed. That is a terrible feeling. But something, and I've done this myself, but an even worse thing is to keep upping your prices to the point where it never sells. And you just burn in with it. Like, I've had that happen several times where I message somebody to buy an item and they've kept upping the price without replying to me. And what I do then is I will keep messaging for that item even after I don't want it anymore. And one guy ended up upping the price on the item all the way up to 20 exalts. I checked at the end of the league, and yeah, he still had that item for sale at the end of the league. It never sold. So I just assumed that he was just like, nobody messaging me for my item. Just perfect. So, you know, and I've done that myself too. I've burnt in with items, like especially something that people want to buy early on. I try to just like sell because like you can do like having currency can make you make more currency too. You're like your character's going to be stronger. Very important to sell things early. So kind of a system that I do, like S1, this is like generally things on day 1. And then that'll fill up pretty quickly. This is probably going to be like day 2, day 3, stuff like that. So when I'm all the way over here, like sales 13, right? I have 13 tabs with shit for sale. Sure, I do go back and revisit them sometimes too and remove some tabs. But if somebody messaged me for something for sale in S1, S2, S3, I was like, shit, this has been listed for a week and a half. I'll sell it for anything. It's gone, right? Nobody cared enough about it. It's probably not an amazing item. Also, I've seen a lot of people, something a lot of people do, you've listed something for like 8x. To this is like the most priceless item for you. Somebody messages you and offer you like, hey, I see that you've listed this for 10x. I want to offer you 1. Maybe like sometimes reevaluate your item. Maybe it's not that big, dick, amazing, crazy rare item that you thought it was. Maybe there isn't an insane demand for it. Don't just instantly put that person on ignore and be like, what a fucking undercut, right? Items are worth what items are going to sell for. They're not just because you've priced it at 10x or you thought it was worth 10x. Maybe the reason you priced it at 10x is that some random fuckface didn't have an idea what he was doing, and he priced his at 12, and you were like, I'll undercut him by 2x. You know, it's worth what it's gonna sell for. So try not to be like, try to keep an open mind when you do get offers like that. Maybe just reevaluate it. And definitely there will be times where people are just undercutting. You should almost always never save things for later. Prices go down. True. A lot of the time, unless it's something that you know you're like, I'm never going to see this item again. Like a quick example being like an Elder helmet used with a horror, like a horror essence on an Elder helmet. And you've got the 30% more elemental damage. You have minion damage. You have minion life. You have ignite. Like something like really niche, right? Like you're never going to roll that item again. Then you might be a little bit more like, I'll save this. I'll save this. But if it's something that you're like, you know what? 2 weeks from now, there's probably going to be more of this. You can probably sell the item. Then 2 weeks later, when you are going to make that character, buy it back. Now, if that times or examples when that changes is when you know for a fact that something is like underutilized. A quick example being like voices. Voices was obviously very expensive early on, but then it just skyrocketed even later on when people discovered its true prices. Yeah, also when pretty much any streamer plays a build, that can like influence the prices quite a lot as well. It is also like important to be watching some streamers. Like for example, if you have items for sale and you see that Quinn uses that build, sell them instantly because the price is going to plummet. I'm just kidding. Don't sue me. I'm trying to think what are like the main. I actually should be like quitting here and taking like a quick break before next session. I didn't think this one would be that long. But yeah, I think we might call it there. Stonks dropping. I think we might call it there for fast cash and early riches. And yeah, that was like some decent tips there. I didn't think it would be this long, but yeah, hopefully you guys got some tips there for making money. And we are going to end class here. The next class is starting in 10 minutes, which is going to be Defense Against the Dark Arts. I kind of want to call it that. It's actually called Layered Defenses. Dan was the person I wanted for this, but he didn't actually have time. He didn't have time at the time, so I'm solo. But we'll end there. If you're watching on YouTube, hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, thanks for watching. Oh, and try to die less than I do.